Hello and welcome back to the Hearthstone Global Games, where I have played musical chairs for the final time today, and I'm joined once again by Lorinda.
We tried to take the chair away, but he got in it too quick.
They're just making me move from side to side all day. It's getting a little bit silly now. Next up, though, we've got arguably biggest match of the week so far, Canada versus Denmark. If you follow competitive Hearthstone loosely, this is probably going to be the game with the most names that you know.
Right, this is a weird one as well, because Denmark have got all of the names that people talk about as people who should have won something by now and haven't. Crane has, in fairness, won Trinity Series recently. Let's just clear that up before I get loads of amazing hate tweets. And Canada, most of these players aren't actually talked about very often, and yet they've all done great things in Hearthstone. Sidonia winning Spring Champs last time, I think it was Spring. APX Void got the most wins out of anybody apart from Amnesiac in American prelims. Hotform second at Worlds, and Purple has won DreamHack, as well as being the mastermind behind various people, including Frozen recently.
Two very, very strong teams, but as you said, one team sort of with all of the accolades, and the other team with a lot of respect,
right,
but not quite there with their big breakthrough. Hearthstone Global Games is a great opportunity to do that, as Denmark, well, neither team has lost a game yet.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not lost them. Was Denmark 3-0 as well?
Oh, sorry, I mean lost a series.
Okay, no one's lost a series yet, yeah, and Canada have not lost a game yet. They are 6-0, as we see. Both countries a bit more quiet than some of the other places we've seen with hustle and bustle. These places look very, very peaceful until someone loses at Hearthstone, most likely.
Yeah, I feel a little bit seasick.
Not a water person?
It depends on the boat.
And the Murlocs.
And the Murlocs, and the pirates, and the water rogues.
So you are basically a water person.
Sure.
Just change.
Sure. It's just, why not?
But yeah, this one is absolutely huge. If Canada win it, and Canada aren't just trying to win their group and everything else, they're trying to send a message to the USA at the same time, I think. But no time for just messing around today, because this is going to be absolutely crazy. This could go the whole way. They all could go the whole way, but this is likely to go the whole way.
Something I'm surprised about instantly looking at the way that these decks are lined up is APX Void is bringing Mage, but it's his ace deck. Now, I expected him to almost guarantee take it. I know that he's been playing a lot of Mage in his time in Hearthstone, and recently I know he spent a lot of time playing Secret Mage, even going as far as to say, I think in a tweet in the last 24 hours at some point, hey, Yogg-Saron's good in this deck, guys.
Yeah, it really is. Yogg-Saron is definitely good in that deck as well. I watched some of that stream and played it myself as well. He's not a big fan. He doesn't really seem to think that the deck's going to work. But if it is going to work, Yogg-Saron belongs there. And we're going to see the first match. It's going to be Crane on the Mage, Hotform on the Shaman. Dig deep, guys. This is the one where it can go a little while.
Yeah, well, these are also two very, very talented players. You mentioned Crane a moment ago, of course, plays for Complexity. Won the Trinity Series, Hotform, second place World Championship. We are talking 2015,
sure,
though, just losing out to Uskaka, but it's the kind of thing you don't really forget. First place and second place in the HCT World Championship kind of does give you a bit of a reputation.
Yeah, it certainly does, and he's built a big stream on the back of that as well. He already had a big stream. But anyway, we're going to have just a moment and going to listen to what Sidonia's got to say.
I'm Sidonia, and Canada is going to win the Hearthstone Global Games. Since I took on the role of captain to, basically that means I have to submit the deck list every week and make sure everything's fine on that department. I guess I've been taking on a role to make sure we have good decks to submit and getting all of the players' input. I don't think we have someone that just wants to be leading. I think we just want to get everyone's input and really try to have the correct plan and make the correct plays.
Purple is your America's champion for 2015.
I think Canada is really good in global games this year. I think team formats are better if you can talk to your teammates during and not only between games. Watching other teams play, sometimes there were really bad mistakes, and on our team that's really not a problem. Guys like Purple has been around forever, Outform as well, and APX Void, he was known as a Tempo Mage God when Flamewaker came out 2 years ago. I think we're all used to being on calls with other people and playing as a team, so the communication has been very good, and I think we played almost flawlessly, just using the input from everyone really well.
Yeah, congratulations to Hotform, very well played.
You need to submit 9 decks, but maybe you only get to play 3 of them, so Prepping 9 decks is really time consuming. You really want to think about your pairing and your lineup, and if you change one deck, maybe you have to change all the other decks. Then you also need to take into account like what players are comfortable playing, what you think your opponent is going to bring. It's very complex to prepare for it. The only thing I have to say about stereotypes and Canadians is that we really need the sorry emote back.
Sorry about that.
That was a big blow to Canadians. If you want more Canadians to play the game, just give us the sorry emote back.
I'm Cydonia, and Canada are going to win the Hearthstone Global Games. Look at him just oozing confidence there.
Yeah, and he said that before they won any matches, unlike our Italy supporters over here. But also, not only that, he was saying how much hard work goes into all this preparation. A lot of these guys, especially from the Canadian team, have put a lot of time into Hearthstone, whether it be streaming, whether it be playing, etc. Here's what somebody who also puts time into streaming has to say. We're going to go over to Crane.
And that's it. The game is over. Crane has booked his spot.
Hey, I'm Crane, and I hope to help Denmark win the global games. So I've had some chance of to play in these team competitions before, and I also used to Skype a lot with Indern. So the way we prepare is that we just get together and fire up a Skype conversation, and we just play some games. When we're actually competing, we try to keep all the small talk to a minimum. We try to be very precise when we do say something, so we try to think before we say anything. Whoever controls the mouse will just have to decide. I'm actually used to working together with Indren from back in the day, way before I got recognized in the scene. I feel like we have a good synergy with the 4 guys, and people are willing to also put in the work to actually get good strategies and such.
First, but you can see what it means to these guys to get the win through for Denmark.
We are one of the teams with the strongest chance of going all the way.
Oh, I heard Sottel's voice and I heard your voice in that video.
I hear Sottel's voice in my sleep all the time, so I just...
It's getting a bit much.
Yeah, Crane there explaining just how much of especially a relationship he's got with Indrin, but also the hints all the way through there of how much he doesn't suffer fools. We have a Skype chat. We keep out all the small talk to a minimum. We get on with business. Crane, very business-like player, and that is why he's so well regarded, because he puts so much time into just getting things right.
But both players, Cydonia and Crane, did focus a little bit on communication in their interviews. They showed, we know how to win the game by talking to each other. Cydonia saying, with 4 of us, we won't make mistakes. And so both of these guys feel very, very confident that their teamwork is going to help pull them through. And hey, maybe that's an indication as to why neither of these teams have lost a series yet. This really is a battle of the Titans, but at the end of today, one of these teams will have lost a series.
Yeah, and just going to touch on Crane again there as well. Like you say, one of these teams is going to lose today. But Crane mentioned that relationship with Indrin, but he also mentioned the bit about where if you don't have anything to say, just don't say anything. Trust the guy driving the mouse. We've got such a great lineup with Crane, Indrin, Hoy, Freddie B as well, and this team is just good. So if you've got nothing to say, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point in even speaking up if you're going to say, I don't know, this is a tough turn. The kind of thing that those of us that are more casual Hearthstone players would maybe say while streaming, while talking to, excuse me? I have a monitor. I can see what you're doing, Neil. But the kind of thing I'd say, just to fill time, that would be a complete pain if you're trying to communicate with people at the same time.
Yeah, and Crane had that Trinity Series experience, and that's probably something he picked up from there. Whereas the Canadian team, I know that Purple definitely takes a hand in a lot of players talking about things behind the scenes. I wonder how they're organised. If they win today, maybe we'll ask them how they organise their team time exactly, actually when they're playing.
But as we can see, game number 1 coming up, Crane playing a different type of mage to what I'm used to seeing, at least. Sorcerer's Apprentice and Water Elemental are 2 cards not commonly seen in Discover Mage. However, Polymorph and Firelands Portal are. Maybe this is a more tempo-oriented deck.
We did see the discussion earlier with Sorcerer's Apprentice, the discussion went, no, we're going to kill people because Sorcerer's Apprentice is good, and this deck is a beatdown deck, so let's do it. However, Water Elemental is indicative of either a Secret Mage as a weird build or just a very much more tempo mage. That everything crosses over, so they have currently got good names, but I think we're just going to have Magey Mage soon.
Just another class that's full of spectrums and things.
Meanwhile, one of the classes that isn't so full of spectrums that they were is Shaman. oddly enough.
That Spirit Echo card, I feel as though we've seen a lot of that during the Hearthstone global games so far.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks in particular, it's like Shaman's got rid of its need to try out elementals, and now it tends to focus on the good stuff, the Jades, the occasional elemental, and getting lots of cards, and just not dying.
Don't forget, as we go into the first game, both of these players will be communicating with all 3 of their teammates throughout the entire game and throughout the entire series. This is a team effort, as we've made very, very clear already. There is no one playing on their own here.
Yeah, apart from apparently all of Denmark, who aren't allowed to speak unless spoken to
Aren't
by
allowed
Crane.
to speak unless they have the correct play.
Crane going to take his time. Obviously, he'll be taking on feedback from people who have ideas, but not the easiest start. You want to work out how to get this apprentice to get the most. Obviously, you can coin out the apprentice and then just go straight into intellect if the apprentice lives. But that's playing into Spirit Claws, Jade Claws. So
Right.
that's also a danger.
Yeah, it's funny because Crane is going to be making all of these decisions and considering everything that they possibly need to play around. Though, as we can see, Hop Form isn't going to do much this turn.
Yeah, and Denmark came to the same conclusion. We do not need to hurry. I think a lot of any discussion there, and you can see there wasn't a huge amount, at least from Crane's side, would have been how much of a hurry are we in against this, and I think the decision is we're in it for the long haul as a second Sorcerer's Apprentice comes up.
Now this is looking very weird for a Discover Mage, though it's still possible. It's with all of the different techs that we've seen in this deck today, it's actually quite hard to distinguish what is normal and what isn't anymore.
Right, especially as these decks, I checked, they were submitted 2 days ago, so they have had access to some of the other tournaments going on now, which means that things we were talking about yesterday in particular, like, maybe they haven't seen things. Well, these guys have now seen other decks, other technologies, and maybe we're going to see something like Omega Zero's deck pop out sooner rather than later.
So I wonder what Crane does this turn. He has the option to just ping the 1/1, but given how sort of aggressive his hand is, that feels like a waste of time. Sorcerer's Apprentice would technically survive, and as we can see, it definitely would survive, but it does play into so many cards. As you mentioned earlier, Jade Claws exists.
See what they're doing. They're going with the Apprentice. If they go with this, I assume they'll coin Glyph, but maybe they won't. No, they're just keeping the coin. Just challenging Canada to deal with this.
Well, I don't think that this really is a Hex target, so it looks like Hot Form is just going to have to either Hero Up and Pass or play Manatide Totem, which sucks because Sorcerer's Apprentice just eats it up. And Primordial Glyph, as we discussed earlier, is stupidly strong when you've got a Sorcerer's Apprentice. In fact, Crane could play the second one and actually get a spell played much, much, much earlier than it should be.
And of course, Canada do not know what they're up against, although they will probably assume Secret Mage, more aggressive version of Secret Mage than we can see that it probably isn't. Although again, all of these cards do go in some Secret Mage builds. Canada do have double J Lightning and Aya in hand,
right?
So they can afford to be a little bit loose with their removal if they want to be, because they are going to start building up a pretty menacing board really quickly.
Yeah, we're looking at 4/4 Jade Golems within the next 3 or 4 turns.
Right.
And it's no stretch of the imagination to think the Whole Form will pick up another one soon. He actually is going to Hex the Sorcerer's Apprentice. I am very surprised by that.
So when would you have played the Hex? I'm not asking you like sarcastically. No. So if you're not going to play the Hex, then which turn do you play it on? Next turn you can Jade Lightning. The turn after you can Jade Lightning. The turn after you can Aya. You go into turn 7. You've got Devolved and Lightning Storms and another Hex by the time you get there. So the advantages of hexing there, and again, I'm not saying if I would or wouldn't, but the advantage of what they have done means that they don't have to find a slot to fit that Hex into the play.
Makes a lot of sense, Neil. And now, Crane, the tough decision is just continue, because now there is the option of Sorcerer's Apprentice Primordial Glyph, or just coin out Water Elemental.
Yeah, you've just seen a Hex. I think coin Water Elemental must be incredibly tempting, and then that Water Elemental can defend your Sorcerer's Apprentice Arcane Intellect the turn after. Defending this second Apprentice is a thing, but also Denmark can infer, like, it's a strange thing, just straight up Hex a Sorcerer's Apprentice. It is a very bold move, and Denmark will have spent a lot of this time trying to infer what they can from why that happened, and they're inferring, you know what, I don't think you can deal with a second Apprentice.
Yeah, and now Crane going to get a lot of potential options here. We didn't even see what his choices were, but Primordial Glyph's picked up. Firelands Portal costs 4 mana, which means next turn it would be possible if the Sorcerer's Apprentice survived.
Yeah, Canada now they're going to start reaping the rewards of this thing not surviving. They've used the Hex and they're now going to go into this removal train for the next 2 or 3 turns. And turn 7's fixed as well now, because getting the next 3 turns are probably going to be Jade, we'll go with. And now they've got the option next turn of Spirit or Lightning.
Yeah.
Turn 7 will be the Manatai Totem plus either the Jade Spirit or the Jade Lightning, or one of their next 3 draws, of course. Everything's fixed now for Canada because they hexed when they did.
Things look good for Crane even this turn as well. They could coin out Firelands Portal, that seems pretty rubbish. Water Elemental on curve seems fine here. We can see it would be destroyed by the Jade Lightning, although it does also eat up the entirety of Canada's next turn.
Yeah. Being very, very defensive with their coin there, making me wonder if there's an Antonidas lurking in this deck somewhere.
It wouldn't be the first that we've seen today in a Discover Mage. Harrison Jones picked up by Hot Form. His other potential plays this turn are so strong that I don't think Harrison's going to come down just yet.
Medivh in the opponent's deck, I agree.
Yeah, well, and there's that as
That's
well.
That's the thing they might want to deal with in this value-based matchup.
That was my next point. Yeah.
Damn it, sorry. Didn't mean to do that.
I'll forgive
Anyway,
you.
Canada now, they can do the Jade Lightning double trade if they want to. It doesn't look too bad as it keeps the Jade train rolling, but then they are out of removal. The other option is obviously just make a Jade, ignore this 3/6 and hope it all goes away.
Nope, this just makes more sense.
Yeah.
And it fits so nicely as well. You deal with Water Elemental, which can be a very frustrating card. Canada will run Jade Claws. If they're running the other Jades, there will be a Jade Claws there. And Water Elemental could potentially lock that down for a couple turns. This just makes too much sense. Crane picking up a lot of damage here as we just remind ourselves what Medivh does. The ATS, will act in the same way that Summoning Stone does. While it's on the board, every time Crane uses a spell, it will randomly summon a minion of that cost, which is a way that the Discover Mages just completely take over the board in the late game.
Yeah, assuming again that it's going to work either way, but I'm still not convinced this is a Discover Mage. We haven't seen a single card yet to distinguish it. Yeah.
Oh, it's only really Medivh that I would, but it's. Again, where's the line? Where do you draw the line on what is and what isn't?
I draw the line when I see the secrets. If I see a bunch of like mirror images and that sort of mirror entities and that sort of thing, then I'll start saying it's more of a secrety mage. If we see ice barriers and ice blocks, then it's more of a Discover Mage. And obviously, if you see
which are still secrets, it's so confusing.
It is so confusing. If you see a Cabal Courier in the meantime, which we don't think we will, because the Sorcerer's Apprentices seem to be interchangeable. Okay, there's a block which is a nod to the fact it probably is a variant of the Discover.
Yeah, some
Burn,
secret mages
Gunter,
run it. Some secret mages run it as well. The line is very, very blurry. Medivh's Valet, obviously another strong secret card, which is used in all Discover mages. 2 mana, deal 3 damage is a very, very strong effect to have. And now that secrets are so readily available, Primordial Glyph exists to get some more. Ice block is so popular. Medivh's Valet just makes so much sense.
Just a reminder, when this minion kills other minions, it just goes back into stealth mode, which is a very powerful card. I actually thought this would see more play than it currently does,
So did I.
but it just turns out that Rogue is actually just that good.
Well, yeah, Rogue, the problem is it's a very kind of late-game tempo-y Rogue card.
Yeah.
And that's not actually the way that any Rogue deck we've seen so far has been built.
Right.
It hasn't found a home yet, even in Water Rogue, because Finger is the 5-drop, right?
Yep.
So maybe in the future, there's still time, but at the moment, it's just a very strong drop from Firelands Portal.
Yeah, it really is at the moment. Just to point out as well that Ice Block is really valuable here because of Medivh's Valet and any other secret-related stuff there might be, like Watchers or whatever, Avians. Just because it's always there, basically, whereas some of the others do obviously get triggered earlier on and like counterspell, and you end up losing Valet value sometimes.
So, Spirit Echo goes down on Jade Spirit and Aya. That's really strong.
Not as strong as this, though. This is going to be a complete blowout.
Yeah.
Harrison into kill things, into get them back in my hand, into, oh my goodness, this turn. However, we've done this before. There's a lot of burn accumulating in Denmark's hand if they pull an Alexstrasza with double ice block.
That's what Crane needs to do. He needs to pick up Alexstrasza very, very quickly. It won't do anything next turn. He's only going to have 8 mana. But if he can get a Frostbolt or a Primordial Glyph plus an Alexstrasza, he might just about be able to pull together the damage to beat Hot Form. There are 2 Hot Springs Guardians in Hot Form's hand now, which could be a little bit awkward, but it also might not be enough healing.
Yeah, this matchup's getting faster and faster with those Sorcerer's Apprentice because it really puts the onus on the Shaman to fight back as well. It can't just sit around anymore. And although that Harrison's done great work, it's only shut off Plan B.
Yeah.
Plan A is still just to fireball your face off.
It's still the Freeze Mage plan, really.
Yeah. It's just got more versatile cards.
Yeah.
And overall, this is almost Freeze Mage. In fact, is it just Freeze Mage? No, because we've seen a Water Elemental and Sorcerer's Apprentice. But it's very Freeze Mage-y with this Acolyte of Pain.
Okay, Hot Form. It looks like he just played the Maelstrom Portal there just to summon a minion.
It summoned a Secret Keeper, which isn't the worst one ever. There is the Pyroblast, so that's more again a nod to it's a variant on the Discover Mage. He's just taking out the Discover, which I think I said a couple of weeks ago. People starting to take out the slightly more sloppy cards in the deck.
I just want to work out this is. I just want to point out. Sorry, this is exactly 30 damage in hand, with the double Fireball being 12, Medusa Valet 15, Firelands Portal 20, Pyroblast 30. There is a little bit of healing in Hopform's hand, but it's not going to take much more from Crane to win this. He really wants to see Alexstrasza soon.
Yeah, and how long can he take this beating from the board, though? Obviously, the answer is he takes 11 this turn, the block goes next turn, most likely. The turn after the next block goes. You've got some time. It's a really complicated turn because you've got to factor in the cards that are still left in your deck. If you decide to go face, you've got to think how much healing is in the other hand. Talking with Raven earlier, we thought probably just the 5 healing cards. Double Jinyu, double Hot Spring, and possibly a Kalimos in some.
Just those 5 healing cards.
Sure, but as opposed to some decks that just have, like, we go with Druid, it's the same number of cards, but it's just ridiculous amounts of healing.
Crane has decided that there is no point in waiting around for Alexstrasza. It is 1 card in his deck, which looks like it's got at least another 15 or so cards left. Going to go ahead and deal the first 10 damage here. Fitting in a ping, it's important that he does that every turn to maximize his damage output. And now it's just a matter of how much burn can he pick up before Hot Form gets more healing.
Yeah, next turn he can Fireball face and play Acolyte of Pain and Ping face. That's 7 and more card draw. He also obviously has the option just to Fireland Portal, but he needs to get rid of the expensive spells first, actually, maybe, so that he can weave in an Ice Block later.
Yeah, Pyroblast is a little bit too expensive, though that can be used as a finisher at the end of the damage train.
So next turn, actually, we may well see, assuming that nothing changes Crane's plan, we might see the Firelands Portal next, so that Fireball and Ice Block are actually playable in 1 turn.
Yep, and a ping can be used every single time.
Right.
Apart from on the Pyroblast turn, obviously.
Sure, but yeah, hopefully by then, from Crane's point of view, you've got your opponent low enough that you just blast their face out of existence.
Aya number 2 coming down. This ended up being even stronger than Bran, because you're not just duplicating Aya's battle cry, you're getting its death rattle again as well, along with the Jade Spirit 2 times.
Canada absolutely terrified by that preemptive strike last turn, by the way. They killed the 2-3, costing themselves 5 damage in the process.
Yeah.
They have still put lethal up, but they realise, hang on, if Denmark are going face here, they've got the damage in their hand. And Hot Form is looking very, very worried because he's seen this before.
Now, I imagine this definitely is a Firelands Portal turn, both because it fits very well with the curve, and also because there is the possibility of getting Leroy Jenkins or Doomguard. If Crane got a charge minion from the Firelands Portal, it would dramatically increase the speed that they can win the game. Second Firelands Portal does also have the chance of doing that, although Crane isn't going to have that long left.
He is not, but again, he's got that Ice Block into Firelands. How much damage can he get done? If he fireballs face, Ice Blocks and Pings, that's 7 to face, and then Pyroblast would be 10. That's 17. Healing for 3 is not enough. Healing for 4, that's how 17 works, is enough.
And there's actually enough healing in Hot Form's hand to heal for 6.
Yeah, which would be plenty, but there are more cards to come from both sides, and there is Hearthstone to be played between now and then.
We're playing Hearthstone.
Yeah, and if they leave the 4-6 up here, because they want to proc the block, that's 4 damage they might take, but it's not because the taunt will get in the way.
Heal number 1 from a Hot Form. He can fit it in this turn. There's not really a reason not to. I don't mind playing the second one here too. Now, Crane knows how much damage he has to deal. He may suspect that there's more damage in Hot Form's... more healing in Hot Form's hand. It's a shame that Burgly Bully's sitting there, because if there was no Burgly Bully, Hot Form wouldn't have space on the board to play more healing. But the pickup of the Jinyu Water Speaker is very bad news for Denmark.
Yeah, they're in trouble anyway, but that is pretty much starting to signal the end, I think, although made that mistake before with this deck. If there is a Cabal Courier in there, things can still happen.
Right.
No way of clearing, like even Flame Strike would not be enough. Actually, it would be enough to clear if Flame Strike appeared, but Aya makes that so difficult, and there is no Flame Strike anyway. And this is a situation where Denmark are just looking to, like, what is our out? How do we play to it?
Yeah, and it looks as though it may be a case of just maximizing damage. It's this sort of situation where the Discover Mage suffers from not running cards like Frost Nova and Blizzard, ways to stall for just a little bit of extra time. A Frost Nova here would be enough to buy Denmark an extra turn, but it's not going to happen. It's not in the deck. It could happen if a Primordial Glyph gets picked up, but in that event, Crane probably needs to pick up more burn damage.
Yeah, and he's torn here. He doesn't really want to do the Portal to the Face. He wants to play the Arcanologist to purify his draws more.
I called this earlier, but it's not good enough because there's taunts in the way.
Well, it's not, unfortunately, because it can just get killed, but it's quite entertaining. Not very entertaining if you're a Denmark fan, though, and Canada are looking good to go 7-0 in games in this event.
7-0 so far. Denmark are desperate to give Canada their first loss, though Hot Form going to be feeling very, very smug at the end of this game.
He will indeed. Seemed not to have been hit by the curse of Induin. There was a tweet going around earlier where it's tagging some friends to give them bad RNG. And Induin tagged in the entirety of the Canadian team.
Good strategy, though. I like it. That's taking your next level tactics.
Didn't seem to work, though. They haven't been any good, but they haven't had any particularly bad either. Just a game of Hearthstone took place.
It's pretty bad for Denmark. There's no ice blocks left, so yeah.
And we've seen this matchup go both ways today. This is an interesting matchup to keep an eye on, I feel. Yeah, and just doing everything they can now to make sure there's just as much awkwardness on board as possible. And Denmark picking up Meteor.
That's not going to do much.
No.
Acolyte Ping, I'm not sure what Crane's hoping for. Potentially Primordial Glyph is the only way of surviving for one more turn. Picks up Spellbender in the deck. Was that a Secret Mage or a Discover Mage, Neil? Do either of us have any idea?
Okay, so was there double ice block? Was
yeah.
both ice blocks right? So that means it is a variant on the Bernie Discover Mage,
okay.
Because the only reason you play any ice blocks ever in Secret Mage is to activate your other minions. You don't really want the ice block.
Right.
You don't need that extra turn that ice block gives you particularly.
Sure.
What you need is something that just sits there and says, I'm a secret. And that's why some people play it and some don't.
I'm a secret. Notice me, Medea's Valet. Spellbender was slightly strange, but we've seen a lot of weird decks in that deck over the last couple of days, as I pointed out. But moving on, game number 2 coming up next is APX Void with the Warrior versus Freddie B with the Shaman.
Two players that everybody should know about. APX Void has the second most wins, as I said earlier, in all of HCT America preliminaries and playoffs starting last year. Freddie B said last week he wanted to have a hero qualifier. He did not get through. He got through 4 rounds worth. But failed fairly late on in that. He's a guy who you should follow on the likes of Twitter because he posts 12-win decks. He posts his decks from winning Open Cups. He's always posting stuff that I'm sure a lot of you will enjoy. So Freddie B is a man who is definitely not out of place in this team, and also he can give you some good lists to have a look at.
I'm still disappointed that we're not seeing APX Void on the Mage. I know there's the possibility of that if we go to the Ace game, which I am hoping for this series because I want to see APX Void on the Mage. We're going to have to see how he handles the Warrior. We've not seen much Quest Warrior at all in the last couple of days. I believe you and Raven casted one game yesterday with a Quest Warrior.
Yeah.
That's it. I know I haven't. I
haven't cast much. If you'd said have a casting, I'd have said no, but I think you're right. I think I did cast one with Raven yesterday. While I'm busy saying how you should follow people, APX Void on Twitch. It's a very chilled stream he does. He always does Tempo Mage or variants thereof. But he just gets to really high legends and sits there and goes, I don't think this deck's very good.
They're pretty good to watch, these players that can get high legend with bad decks.
I mean, pretty much follow everybody on both these two teams on every social media and everything you can after this game.
Are you telling them to stalk these players in real life?
Stalk these players.
Follow them on everything you can.
Bus, train, plane. Anyway, it's getting creepy now. So hopefully we'll get into the game. It's going to be Shaman for Denmark and it's going to be Warrior for Canada. I think we will see more Pirates.
And I think we'll see more very control-y decks on the other side.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting matchup because it's one of those where if the Shaman can sustain for long enough, the game gets better and better for them as time goes on. But the Warrior can just win the game very, very quickly, obviously. There you go. Patches appearing pre-mulligan for APX Void, something that Team Canada are going to be very happy to see. Freddie B, on the other hand, he's got Aya. He's got the Flame Tongue Totem that has been appearing quite often today.
Yeah, that's interesting to point out, actually, because it's a card that in all of the early iterations of Shaman kind of went missing, which is bizarre because Flame Tongue Totem is rather good.
Given how for quite a while now, Raven and I have been talking amongst ourselves about how we actually would like it if that card got nerfed. It seems to be absolutely fine now. Those complaints seem to have just come from the power level of Shaman over the last couple of years. Now it's more in line with the other classes, maybe even below the curve. Flame Tongue's fine.
Yeah, maybe there's a nod to Firefly in this deck. Maybe you play slightly more elementals if you're playing the Flame Tongue, or maybe you just think it's a good card and you put it in your deck. There's a Tar Creeper as well, so this isn't quite the deck we've been looking at most of the day.
It's like it may be a pure elemental Shaman.
Yeah, could well be.
And you know, Tar Creeper is a card that looks as though it was specifically designed to counter Pirate Warrior.
Yeah, that is definitely, or to counter aggro in general, but yeah, Pirate Warrior being very, very aggro indeed, and Maelstrom Portal's going to sort out phase 1 of this operation, which is don't die to the early pirates.
Maelstrom Portal particularly strong in this scenario. There's Kalamos, a card that is incredibly strong, one of the most versatile cards in the game, but not one that we see too often in these Shaman decks. Here against the Pirate Warrior, assuming Freddie B gets to turn 8, healing for, what is it, 12? Healing for 12, kind of game winning.
Yeah, and he's just got every turn for the next 3 or 4 turns absolutely perfect. Tar Creeper is fine, into Jade Lightning is fine, into Hex is fine. All these things turn out they're fine.
Are we hexing this though? I don't know how scared you get of the Frothing Berserker.
Well, yeah, because then you've got, sorry, yes you do, because next turn you can do 4 damage to the next 3/4, 2/4 they play. Yep. Then you can stick a Creeper in the way of most of the stuff, if that's the best card you've got by then.
I think if Hot Form is hexing Sorcerer's Apprentice, then Denmark hexing a Frothing Berserker probably feels quite good.
Yeah, also keeping the Creeper back just in case you haven't drawn another Elemental in the next few turns is also a thing. Yeah, here we go. Have a frog on me.
Pressure really is on for APX Void, it's worth noting. Given that Canada haven't lost a single game, not a series, but a single game so far, he doesn't want to be the first to lose. Doesn't matter who he's against.
Sure. I mean, he is a pretty chill guy, but you're right. They don't want to be the first one to lose. I'm pretty sure of that. And just can't see how they can generate enough damage here. But then we say that. We just saw that crazy game between Argentina and Austria a minute ago with Wife Coach nearly getting it done when it looked like she wasn't going to generate enough damage. And she didn't. She was one short.
One short, though. One short. Given the insane start that Argentina had, it's shocking that she got that far. You pointed out earlier the Flame Tongue Totem may be a nod towards Firefly. There's the Firefly. But with Kalamos in hand, that's no real surprise at all. This is the closest we've seen to just a regular elemental shaman, the type that we were all putting together on day 1 of the expansion, as we've seen for a little while.
Yeah, that's one of the things you've got to do in this event when you're bringing the same players each week. I know you don't see all of the decks, but the same people are coming each week. You have got to not be predictable. Otherwise, if you're predictable, you will get destroyed in this format.
Right. Now, APX Void has a lot of options here. Double South Sea Deckhand would allow him to get past the Tar Creeper. Doesn't want to trade into the Firefly. It's not nice that Tar Creeper is just such an irritating card in this position.
It really is, because you feel like, well, it doesn't do anything, so I don't have to kill it. Newsflash, you're trying to hit your opponent in the face for 29 points, you've got to kill it.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's going to sit there, and Denmark aren't going to care.
There's possibly a Spellbreaker in Canada's deck, which is great and all, but it's not in the hand.
And also, I mean, you would play it if you had it, but also you're going to need it later as well.
This is much better than what I described. Heroic Strike allowing APX Void to deal with the Tar Creeper in 1 hit. 1 deckhand comes down. I'm expecting the second to come down as well. Oh, no, he's not.
No, they're terrified of this hand. because Shaman will have the Lightning Storms, it'll have the Maelstrom Portal, which isn't so bad, but a deckhand would walk into the second portal if they have it.
It's also good to hold on to, as he's got Blood Cell Cultist in his hand, just an extra card to guarantee that you get a weapon buff at some point.
So Denmark here will start looking, how do we chain our elementals all the way into Kalimos? And the silliness of, do we even devolve this little board comes in. I don't think they will, but there's not much to devolve against pirates.
Right.
Trying to roll the spell damage totem and misses.
Huh.
So now you might, he's looking at the portal, he might just do it anyway.
If Portal gets patches, Stone to Spore, then the full board clear does present itself.
It also means that you've got a 1-1 facing off against a 3-1, which means that something somewhere, even if it's the weapon, it isn't going to your face. So job done means that it is not a charged minion, but it's plenty.
Yeah, a 2-1 is just fine, and things are starting to look a little bit scary for APX Void, as Denmark are just sustaining themselves for the time being. It looks as though it's going to be impossible for APX Void to win this game by turn 8. And then Kalimos, provided that Freddy B picks up another elemental, Kalimos is just going to heal for 12.
Yeah, it shows how much they value the board, actually, and how much they trust their deck. Always trust your deck, guys. If you put cards in it, trust that they're there. Playing his last elemental, knowing that there's no point holding it for 2 turns. It's doing good work on this board. Just adding 1 attack against pirates is actually really relevant. The pirates can't deal with these wide boards. And your deck should pick up another elemental soon. There's loads of them jammed in there.
Yeah. I mean, if we're seeing cards like Firefly and Tar Creeper, it's not one of these elemental decks that's only put a few in and sort of hoping that one sticks. It's going to have quite a few more. It's going to be important because APX Void is finally starting to take over this board. And Devolve is very, very weak against Dread Corsair, because a 4-mana 3/3 with Taunt isn't actually a well-statted card. A lot of 3-mana cards have as good or better stats than this.
Yep. And also, we've just seen making that 1/2 for Flame element. For the Flame Tongue Totem that we saw at the start as well, making this wide board. Fire Elemental, a flicker of a smile came across Freddy's face when he picked this up. The only question is, do we save it one more turn? But
it's difficult. It looks so good here, but then if he can afford to, he might hang back, just play the Jade Lightning on the 3/4, trade his 1/1 with the Dread Corsair, and then just wait. Next turn, Fire Elite to clear up the other 3/3, then Kalimos the turn after looks very, very safe.
So if you're going to go down that route, you're also tempted to trade the 1/1 into the 3/1 and possibly even devolve and then lightning what survives, because one of the minions might get quite bad on going down to 2-drop Phil.
Okay, toteming up first. Why not even play the Jade Lightning? It looks like there's no reason to hold on to it, but
now they can deal with almost any board that can be presented to them by Canada next turn with a Fire Elemental and the little bits and pieces they've got lying about.
Oh, South Sea Captain is pretty good here. He's able to play that with the deckhand to get a free trade against the Flame Elemental. Buff the Corsair up to a 4/4, which actually does take it out of range of the Fire Elemental.
But looking at APX's hand, you're saying about taking free trades. That's all well and good, but while you're taking free trades against a Shaman deck that's elementalizing, you're wasting time. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying you're not buying yourself any time. And it may just be time to push the button here for Canada and say, okay, we think you've got us. Here, eat some damage.
Haha, indeed. Going to make the trades by the looks of things. He's trying to... Oh, he's not. I thought he was going to try and protect the Dread Corsair, but he agrees with you. I agree with you as well, Neil. It's time to hit the face and just hope for the best.
This is awkward.
There's not actually much Freddy B can do about this.
This is really awkward.
Fire Elemental will deal with 1 minion, and that's it. If he chooses to deal with the South Sea Captain, that's great, but the remaining minions that can attack from Freddy B's side won't be able to trade with the Dread Corsair.
I've discussed the devolve nearly every single turn, but devolve here into Servant of Kalimos looks like it might be okay.
I think you're right, yeah.
It's not great fun, though.
Getting rid of the pirate synergy is very nice.
Yeah, just killing off the captain in its own right, and you can probably then kill off the 1-drop that comes from the... Well, there'll be a wisp, in fact, basically.
It will be a wisp, yeah.
You can probably get rid of that, but you don't... you develop something... it's awkward. It's really awkward.
Okay, it looks like Freddie B is going to just deal with one minion. It's going to be the South Sea captain, leaving a 2-1 and a 3-3 on board. It's not that much pressure that Freddie B now needs to worry about. We're looking at 7 damage, including the weapon, 8 when you add the Naga Corsair. Arcanite Reaper may speed things up slightly, but I don't think it's enough to allow APX Void to sustain against Kalamos and its healing.
Right, and the advantage of what they did with this elemental last turn isn't just that they take the damage, like smaller damage this turn, it's there's a 6-5 on the board. And so when they go, one of the problems when you play your Kalamos normally is you heal for 12 and then your opponent hits you for 12, you're like, oh.
Right.
Whereas this time you're going to heal for 12, and even Naga Corsair, Arcanite Reaper actually isn't going to present too much of a terrifying board. It's going to be a little bit nasty, but you're going to be able to deal with this Corsair because you put a 6-5 on the board last turn. So with that in mind, Canada will know full well what this might be setting up.
Yeah, but how do you prevent it? I think...
Well, how do you maximise your play against it at least?
Gonna opt to go with the board dominance. I like it a lot because if Kalamos is coming down and healing next turn, then nothing's going to be dealing with minions. So this makes so much sense. Trading the deckhand into the Fire Elemental, leaving a 3-3 and a 5-4, which you know won't be dealt with if Kalamos is coming down.
So this is the counter to what I was saying. It's like if they're going to make a board, they're obviously trying to play, not obviously, but if they're going to try and play Kalamos, if they're not, we're good, we're going to hit you in the face. If they do play Kalamos, well, more than half that damage is going to go in just one turn. In fact, more than 12. You're going to heal for 12, we're going to hit you for 13.
Yep.
Although the rider to that is that Kalamos is pretty big in his own right, and he's going to start, munching through these minions.
That's true, but it does buy APX Void a turn to at least deal this additional 8 damage. But, of course, Kalamos can do something else. It's risky, it's gutsy, as it's not a healing Freddie B, but it does get rid of that 8 damage on the board. It's kind of like healing for 8 instead of healing for 12.
Yeah, picking up the Hot Spin Guardian made that a lot easier as well. And I was channel visioned, I admit, there into looking at the healing.
Yeah, so was I.
But they realised they heal for more by doing this. If you're going to get hit for 8 from the minions, you might as well just kill the minions.
5-blue Phoenix, okay, one of the cards that you tended to see in these pure elemental decks a little while ago.
I think I've said this every turn this game, but I think Devolve here is a really good play. It gets rid of the 7-3, as long as there's no lethal or anything hanging around.
Lorinda, do you like Devolve?
No. Not in general.
Okay then. Sending me some mixed messages here.
I think I would have played it in this turn. If I'm going to put it in my deck, I'm going to cast it.
Sure. At some point.
I think this has been a very high quality game. Both teams playing around the likely outcomes, and APX has managed to set up several situations where it could have gone wrong for Denmark.
Freddie B absolutely has to play Hot Spring Guardian this turn, as otherwise he's just leaving APX Void with outs for lethal. I guess he'll see if he gets a Taunt Totem. He didn't. Now Hot Spring Guardian.
He's going to kill the 5-blue Phoenix and the 1-2 by the look of it.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. I really panicked for a second there. I was thinking, did I miss something really obvious? No. Hot Spring Guardian has to come down. Now suddenly APX Void doesn't have any way of winning the game this turn. Corcoran Elite is a great card. It's going to get through the minion and allow him to develop this 5 damage to the face. But again, it leaves Freddie B on 7 health. Is there one card that can deal 7 damage from the hand for APX Void? Pretty sure there's not.
Going to go with no.
Like Leroy, 6 damage. Mortal Strike, 6 damage.
Yeah, Mortal Strike's not even 6 damage at the moment anyway.
No, it will be soon.
Because Denmark did the whole 13 thing, probably by accident, but you never know.
Oh look, a second Devolve. Do you think that's a good play this turn?
I'll tell you after the game.
I wonder which is the correct option here. Really hard one.
Just looking to see if there's any value at all in the other 2 things. The only value ever to even consider is you can play Dust Devil now and it wins the game next turn.
It's true, though Kalamos also deals 6 damage, which is the same amount of damage that Dust Devil deals.
And puts a 7-7 on the board and has more options.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Now, I don't want to be a negative Nancy here.
I do.
But it looks like Canada are about to take their very first loss of the Hearthstone Global Games.
And Denmark, the first team to take that win off Canada, 1-all in this match that I think we've been looking forward to for most of the day. And yeah, thumbs up there from Freddie B. Don't blame him at all.
Yeah, going to be feeling pretty good about that. As I mentioned earlier, this really is a battle of the titans of this group in the Hearthstone Global Games. Both of these teams are really going to want to win and take the top spot. Because whoever does win, this does get the top spot of the bracket. If Canada lose this, then they're going to be 2-1. Denmark would be 2-0, which would essentially put Denmark just a little bit above, although they've played one less game. So
yeah, I think
it's not a fair
I
competition.
seem to remember the other group is Malaysia, the other team in this group, who are 2-0 as well.
Right.
Then the rest is France, it's Belgium, I think, and Kazakhstan. And it's one of those groups where some of the teams are taking sort of more than one loss already. So getting 2-0, 2-1 is very, very important. We're going to have Induin versus Purple. It's not really fair to call Purple always a behind-the-scenes guy. He's definitely done it. Like I say, he's won a DreamHack.
Yeah.
But this is kind of the battle of the behind-the-scenes guys to some extent. Induin, definitely a guy who's in a lot of streams. He does a lot of Hearthstone theory crafting. He plays a lot of Hearthstone most of the time, but he did take a bit of a break. But he's somebody that Crane was talking about. You want him in your Skype call.
Yeah, and it's going to be Priest versus Hunter as well. And I can't recall that we've seen this matchup today or yesterday at all.
Trying to think how much Hunter we've seen at all today. We saw a bit yesterday.
Yeah, me and Raven saw quite a bit today as well, I think, but not against Priest.
Yeah, it's hard for the Hunter against Priest. You can't rely on your hero power winning you the game is the very basic starting block of all that. But also Priest is just so good at stealing your stuff and trading it off for you and then putting stuff in the way. It's just not fun to play against for the Hunter a lot of the time here.
Now, Hunter actually one of the least versatile classes. We've been talking over the last few days how Druid is Token or Jade and they're opposites, and Warrior is Pirate or Quest and they're opposites. Even Priest, it's Silence or Dragon, and they're not quite opposites, but they're very, very different. Hunter is mid-range Hunter.
Right, it's Call of the Wild or not Call of the Wild, and with that I mean Volcanosaur, Call of the Wild, Swamp King Dread, those three cards. When I say Call of the Wild, it's just one of those three.
Or even just topping out at Savannah Highway.
Right, or just not doing that. That's the two options. It's top out or don't top out.
Yeah, right.
What number do you want to top out at? And a lot of the pros, not a massive fan of Hunter just because of that lack of versatility. That being said, it's here to do a job. Let's see if it can get that job done against Priest. It's probably not what they were hoping for, but it is a tool in the toolkit for these teams again, especially when you don't want to be predictable every week.
Not a bad start here from Induin. Either Firefly into Kindly Grandmother into Kill Command 1, 2, 3. Not necessarily that you'd want to play Kill Command on turn 3, but if there's a minion that happens to have 5 health, it could be good.
Yeah, may choose as well to Firefly, coin out Jewel Macaw. There's well, not in that order. You'd play your random beast first and see what you get.
You might get a Stone Tuskball that you want to play.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
That you can't get this good. One of the problems against Priest is you can't put the Grandmother on the board at the same time as another 1/1 because he gets stolen, they trade in, they keep the 3/2, and that's not very nice.
Right. On the other side, Radiant Elemental, me and Raven saw an insane start from the Radiant Elemental, which looked a little bit like this, except there were 2 powered shields.
Right, go on to game 4. It's not quite that bad.
Well, it's not.
This start is horrible.
Yeah, I mean, the Priest... So Priest against Pirate Warrior, turn 1 for the Priest was coin, Radiant Elemental, powered shield, versus Pirate Warrior. The Pirate Warrior almost won. That was the game where Wife Coach got 1 off lethal.
Right.
So it's not guaranteed, though it's a very strong start, especially against a class like Hunter, which does rely on having these beast synergies on the board.
Second Stranglethorn Tiger we've seen today indicates a slightly faster build, but it also indicates 5 damage going to the mush.
To the mush?
Yeah.
That is definitely what Stranglethorn Tiger does. It's a very strong card. It's one that doesn't always seem play, but when it does, it is. It's a guaranteed 5 damage or 7 damage thanks to Handmaster.
Yeah. So yeah, find out what they're going to draw from their Macaw.
Draw from the Macaw. Raven said he's going to write us a poem for next week. You've got some poetry for us today. Yeah, he is. You've got some poetry for us today, and Jordan Macaw just has a buddy, a very similar looking buddy.
Yeah, his friend, the other Macaw. I mean, you don't mind infinite Macaw value, to be honest.
Infinite value.
Especially if Sottle is casting it, but I'm not going to meme the Macaw noise, because that's not my job. That's Sottle's job.
You can look forward to that next week.
Tune in next week to hear Macaw noises. Anyway, let's see what they get from the second one, assuming they put it down.
It's going to be Firefly. He's going to go with the board with the better stats. Firefly. He could have gone Firefly Flame Elemental, but he did want to see what the first Jeweled Macaw would get. A good 2-drop, a Crackling Razormaw may have been helpful, for example. But now, Indurant going to be pretty unhappy with this. A 2-5 coming down on turn 3. Not just that, but a 2-5 that has a pretty cool effect.
Yeah, Priest has asked for a 2-drop for how many years now? 3, 4? I don't even know what year I'm in. I never know what year I'm in.
He got one.
And they got not just a good one, he got a
Well, yeah, Mana Geo didn't quite do it, so so Radiant Elemental's here to show the classes who's got the best 2-drop.
So the best way to deal with something you don't like is to ignore it and hope it goes away. In other news as well, going wide here, if you do get Leok from your Animal Companion next turn, you get a pretty big, dangerous-looking board all of a sudden. If you get Huffer, you do get quite a bit of damage. And if you get Misha, something you mentioned a few times today happens.
Get big taunt.
Get a 4/4 taunt.
Yeah, and you know, 2 out of those 3 options will give Indurant the opportunity, probably, to get rid of this horrible Radiant Elemental on the board. I don't think we've mentioned yet, this is obviously a Dragon Priest looking at Purple's side here. We can see Twilight Drake, Primordial Drake, and Draconite Operative. Primordial Drake is one of these cards that you don't need to have even played this matchup to know it's probably pretty good against Hunter.
Yeah, exactly.
It kills Savannah High Main Hyenas. It kills boards like this.
So one of the discussions here will have been, do we want a bit of card advantage? We've got a Twilight Drake in hand if you're Canada, so sure, take the card advantage. They have to discuss whether this board was going to overrun them. And when you look at this board, it's not overrunning much anytime soon. But
tough choice now from Indurant, actually, because again, Leok would be very, very strong. Huffer would be very, very strong. But Crackling Razormaw getting attack or poisonous does seem really good here. Just dispatching that 2-5 instantly.
I think you save the Razormaw if you dare, possibly even as long as a Stranglethorn turn.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I think adapting something that's stealthed is probably pretty scary. Indurant now has a decision to make, though, regarding this Northshire Cleric.
What did we say was the worst outcome from the Animal Companion right now?
I think that's probably the worst outcome.
Yeah, I think so.
But I don't know if it's terrible. It's not. It's definitely bad, but do you kill this Northshire Cleric is the main question here. Is 3 damage to face enough when your opponent can just bump into your 4/4 and draw more cards? And they've shown they don't mind doing that. Plus, you're getting into the turn 5 very, very soon, where you're expecting the Operative. You don't always expect the Twilight Drake, because you don't know what you're up against yet. So I suppose you don't expect the Operative either.
Right.
Actually.
All right. Well, Twilight Drake, here we go. Showing Indurant exactly what this deck is. It's only a 4/6. What I will say is, imagine if Indurant had a Houndmaster in his hand.
Sure. Yep, that would have been really handy, and presumably Canada are aware of that, but
you can't always play around everything when playing Hearthstone.
Especially when you've got this. I mean, you've got this hand that they would have to trade.
Yeah.
Next turn you play your Operative. They might choose to ignore that for 1 turn and hit you for sort of 6 or 7, but then you just Dragonfire Potion anyway.
Yeah.
So going forward, even if they had the Houndmaster, it wouldn't have been that much of a disaster. But obviously Denmark would like to have the opportunity to have one.
Now, what does Indura do this turn? Because as you said, holding on to the Crackling Razormaw for the Tigers seems sensible. We're going to go ahead, play Infested Wolf, leave the Twilight Drake completely intact. Yeah, this seems okay.
Yeah, you just cannot let things that reduce mana hang around for long.
These cards aren't really very good in Priest.
Razormaw is bad. Hyena is bad. Firebat is bad. Guess you take the Razormaw because you're more likely to get the Beast synergy once.
Okay.
And a 3/2 for 2's okay. You're not going to get like Unleash the Hounds very often to go your Hyena.
Sure. I mean, you take the Razormaw or you take the Firebat just because Firebat is unconditionally okay-ish.
Yeah. Well, there are 3/2s unconditionally okay-ish.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I like your wording though, young man.
Thank you.
Things like unconditionally okay-ish, I'm very on board with.
That's the future of the English language.
Good. All right, so he picks up the Houndmaster and is going to be able to hide the Stranglethorn. But the reason they're delaying, the reason they've got to think so long, is they know now what they're up against. They know that Dragonfire Potion is a 6-mana card.
It is. And it's very difficult to play around Stranglethorn Tiger. Indira wants to put that down so badly, but when you know you're against a Dragon Priest, It's not even a question
Right.
of whether they run it. It's a question of whether they have it in their hand.
And the question here isn't how to keep clearing. I mean, they can play the Houndmaster, they can kill the Twilight Drake. That looks like a fine Hearthstone turn. It's the sort of thing you do in Arena, just get some board control. The problem they've got is how do they win the game going forward? They can do quite a lot of posturing for a long time and not lose this game of Hearthstone and force the priest to keep reacting. But they never get into a situation where they actually just win the game.
Yeah. This is going very downhill for Indurant very quickly. Dragonfire Potion picking up incredible value here. Hold on a moment. Okay, all right. just checking.
Just purple being purple.
Purple just checking with its team. Look, is there a better play? Can we afford to hold on to both Dragonfire Potions? And the answer is a resounding no. And this just makes too much sense. The fact that you clear the entire board and end up with a 5/6, the power of Dragonfire Potion and Draconid Operative have been talked about to death already. Especially during the Gedgesan era, but these cards are just very, very strong. Operative isn't just strong because of its ability. A 5-mana 5/6 is premium stats.
Yeah, it really is. It's vanilla stats, which is always the best you can get. By its nature, there's no. The only time you can get better than vanilla stats is if you have a downside on the card.
Yeah.
That's how the vanilla minions work. Vanilla being they've got no other ability other than the numbers.
And for a 5-mana card, you'd expect a 5/5 or a 5/6 or a 6/5.
Yeah, well,
right?
Pit Fighter sums it up.
Yeah.
Pit Fighter is the card that defines it.
Exactly.
Oh dear. So obviously, with so much on the line, Canada taking their time to make sure they get this all right. But so far, Denmark have managed to get 2 damage to the face.
Yeah. Purple saying, "Hey, Canada have lost a game today. That's enough of a dent on our record. We are not going to lose another one." Like 9-1. 9-1.
That's what it would be
Right.
if they won 3-1 today.
Yeah, 9-1 is as low as we're gonna get. Rat Pack and the Scavenging Hyena are cards that work very well together. Crackling Razormaw looking less and less likely to pick up a lot of value as the game goes on. It's possible that needs to come down now and get Poisonous just to deal with the Operative, but then Indurant isn't pushing damage into the face, and he's running out of time to do so, as we see double Primordial Drake in hand.
See what he chooses to go with. Nothing. What? I'm so confused right now. Hello, the Discover is taking place, by the way, guys.
It is. We
I
just
just realised.
having a technical difficulty. We will tell you what it is as soon as we know ourselves. Not a fast decision, though.
Not a fast decision.
Unless there's been a disconnect.
Unless there's been a disconnect, which there hasn't, because Indurant's looking pretty happy there.
Okay. Flaming Claws, he gets the attack. I wonder if this is going face. He doesn't really want to trade this 6/2 into a 3/4.
How do you win this game of Hearthstone if you don't start hitting him in the face eventually?
I like this, going as wide as possible, setting up for a potential Scavenging Hyena.
Right.
But Purple has the exact answer that he needs. He can trade away the Rat Pack and then just bomb the board again.
Yeah.
With not even needing the Dragonfire.
Isn't particularly fair if you're Denmark at this moment.
I wouldn't be too surprised if we see a concede sooner rather than later. Denmark just, yeah, there we go. Completely run out of win conditions. Purple going to take game number 3.
And 2-1 to Canada, 1 game away from having a 3-0 start. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, Canada's a strong team.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, I keep saying they've got such good acolytes.
Accolades.
Too much Hearthstone, guys. Such good accolades between them. But I don't think, like I said at the start of the show, I don't think they always get quite the recognition that they deserve for those acolytes. But that's what 2 acolytes. That's 6 cards.
Accolades.
And they don't get the recognition. They have all won big things, with the exception of Hotform, who came 2nd in the World Championships, and APX Void, who actually hasn't converted his amazing run in playoffs and prelims, but he will. Yeah. He got to last call, I believe, as well. He played something big,
right?
One of the massive events, but he will win something huge at some point this game.
I mean, Sidonia just being at BlizzCon is an achievement in itself. As you say, winning Spring Champs last year, representing at BlizzCon. He was my champion for PAX, Sidonia was. I didn't get
mine
many,
wasn't.
But yeah.
You don't want me to pick you as your pack champion, ever.
Right. just one of the caster's curses, just gone horribly wrong. But we're going to see Priest once again against the Paladin.
Priest against Paladin. Have we seen this sort of on and off? It depends on the Priest, really, to me.
Depends on the Priest. Silence Priest can be quite weak against the Paladin.
Right.
Cards like Outdoor Peacekeeper, Sunkeeper Tarim can shut the Priest down. We haven't seen much of Sunkeeper Tarim at all in the last couple of days. If I recall correctly, over the last few weeks we've seen a lot of the card.
Right.
And recently it's just not been getting there. It's not been getting onto the board.
Well, we've also seen fewer completely ridiculous Stonehill defenders over the last 2 days as well. We've started to see people having to take 6/6s rather than Tyrion.
Well, we saw this in the last series, and I blamed it on Murloc Neil here. Because you're always complaining about how you get bad.
I never complain about anything.
And since I don't know, was it you or Raven that named the Murloc?
Raven.
Since we've named it Murloc Neil and we've put it here on the desk, it just looks like more players across the world might just get some Murloc Neil luck.
Good.
As long as that doesn't spread to myself and Raven, then we won't be complaining. We'll have to see how it works out with Canada, assuming that Cydonia even runs Stonehill Defender. Could be the incredibly aggressive style, although we've seen less of that recently.
Yeah, people don't know what they want to do.
Even the aggressive decks still have been running Stonehill Defender, I believe, over the last couple
It's just so good because of those 3 Paladin legendaries that we've pretty much beaten it to death. But, you know, Wicker Flame, you get Sunkeeper Tarim, you get Tyrion. It's just too much good options, especially with the class bonus that's associated with Discover.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's Grindy Priest by the look of it from Hoy, another guy who everyone says how good he is because he got 98 HCT points last year. 98 stupid numbers.
He goes under the radar a lot, but most people who follow the scene know who Hoy is.
Right.
And they know who his Pidgey is as well.
Pidgey is absolutely awesome. Haven't seen him for a while. I hope he's okay.
It's a shame. It would be nice to see him representing Denmark in the Hearthstone Global Game.
Well, just Pidgey, Freddy, Indorin, Hoy.
It's a 5-man team. That's not fair.
I just don't have Crane.
Oh, okay, sure.
I've got to have my weekly Crane dig. Crane's awesome, by the way. That's why I dig at him.
So we are seeing Stonehill Defender in Cydonia's side, or in Cydonia's hand, rather.
Right.
Maybe we see the first Tyrion, Wicker Flame, Tarim choice that we've had over the last few days. Maybe Stonehill Defender's been saving its good discovers for Canada.
Yeah, look, with this slow-looking start, it's not that slow, actually, for Canada, but the Priest is going to get into this game to some degree. Maybe we get to see a pack open from Elise at some point later in this game.
That would be fun.
They might need to as well.
You and Raven were talking earlier about how much fun that is, weren't you?
Yeah, how much fun Life Coach found it, but I find it fun. Even I like opening packs.
You like something?
Yeah.
Good.
I try open them and see what's in them. But yeah, even I like opening packs. I like lots of things. I'm just not allowed to talk about those things on here. So, Shadow Word Pain looking like something you have to do right now.
Yeah, the other option is coin out Talon Priest, but that messes up the curve. It means that you've got nothing to play on turn 3. Shadow Word Pain at least gets rid of one of these Murlocs. If there was a follow-up of Murloc War Leader, then you'd kind of be annoyed that you're not using Pain on the War Leader, but you take a lot less damage too.
You can heal and draw a card is obviously the other option, but that seems terrifying. You do have Twilight Drake, that's probably why they're talking about it.
Yeah.
But Twilight Drake is just going to be a little slow most of the time.
At least then you'd go 4 into 4. You'd go Drake into Priest of the Feast.
But if your opponent goes Murloc War Leader, you might go bottom right into Concede.
Bottom right into Concede. It's a common play in Hearthstone.
But it's definitely worth discussing, and he's hovering over the hero power.
Okay.
Going to do it.
Well, the good thing about this is that if there is no War Leader, then your Cleric trades with both Murlocs on the board currently, and Cydonia may decide that he actually does need to get rid of the Cleric.
Right.
That does save Hoy a lot of damage, and being able to play Twilight Drake the following turn is a good follow-up that completely contests the board and will probably make Cydonia continue to trade.
Yeah, and they've got it right. Hoy does breathe a sigh of relief there.
No legendaries once again, but Primordial Drake is as good as one.
The double legendary.
It's not as good against Priest because of its effect. However, it's still a 4-attack minion.
I don't think they'll take it, though. I think they'll take something that fixes their curve. Maybe the Fen Creeper, maybe the Dread Corsair. The Dread Corsair is pretty awful, but it's good if you get True Silver.
A 4-mana 3/3. Yeah, okay, with True Silver, you're right. That's fantastic.
The Drake is good. I mean, the 4/8, you are right. It is really, really good against Priest. but you've already got an 8-drop in hand. You might draw another one with Tyrion. Suddenly you've got 3 8-drops in your hand. That is the discussion. It's not whether which is the best card, it's which of these things can occupy the board for us the best and win us the game. And do we need to do that, or can we grind it out?
Yeah, if he takes a Drake here and then gets a Tyrion from Stonehill Defender, then you're right, his hand will be looking very, very slow. Ultimately, the question was, I'm against a Priest. One of these minions has 4 attack. That's the one to go for.
So that is the decision made by Canada. They are going to try and grind this one out. They're in no hurry to take the Priest down, no hurry to rush it down, just going to take value and see what happens and watch the Priest waste its resources to killing a 4-8 later on.
Now, Potion of Madness looks like it should be a really nice card this turn, but there's an annoying 1/4 taunt in the way. Shadow Word Pain plus Potion of Madness looks horrible because you're wasting a lot of removal on, well, a pretty useless 1/4 with taunt. I guess Twilight Drake is probably still the play.
Probably, although Talon Priest is interesting because a huge Twilight Drake is terrifying, but it can be equality'd. It can be Sunkeeper Tamed. So it might not be as terrifying as normal. Keeping the coin for Priest of the Feast for later on, and just for general shenanigans with Lyra, might be a thing they can do. Yeah, they're actually just going to not even go that far. They're going to do the potions and do this like you were saying, and just not worry about using up the coin for later on.
Sure. Well, I guess using up all of your removal doesn't matter too much if there's nothing on the board now, and if you can continue to just slow down your opponent. Sidonia picking up a Primordial Drake from his deck. So one of these came from a Stonehill Defender, the others from the deck. No legendaries once again. In fact, 3 pretty poor options.
You have just seen a Shadow Word Pain, so Psychotron might be tempting now.
And this one does fix the curve. You can play this next turn on turn 5 into Spike Ridge Steed if it survives. Second Twilight Drake. This is some real damage that Hoy is going to start to put on the board now.
Yeah, everyone usually looks at the health totals of the Drakes because it's like, how are we going to kill this? But actually, when you start putting 4 attack minions down and they're not dealt with, you kill people pretty fast if they're not sorted out.
Given that Sidonia is running Primordial Drake, I think it's safe to assume that he's running Equality as well. We know this.
Right.
Hoy does not know this. As he picks up a Netherspite Historian, now there are far fewer dragons in the game now, ever since Blackrock Mountain specifically rotated out, which means when Netherspite Historian goes down, the chances of getting a Draconid Operative are quite high.
Right.
Given that it's also a Priest card and gets the natural advantage with Discover.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I seem to remember you just get it all the time. It's not all the time, but it's just remarkable.
Sadly, not this time, though. Alex Straza, Sidonia not getting a legendary from either of Stonehill Defenders. Alex Straza coming here from Hoy. Is it any good, though? Primordial Drake just seems fine.
Yeah, everybody here, both teams, very, very strong teams. We've seen a lot of the strong teams be very patient in this format. It was notable last week that Russia basically just did nothing for the whole game, just doing everything they could with most efficiency to not die. They even refused to set up lethal 2 or 3 turns. This whole format, unless you're playing obviously Pirate Warrior or Aggro Druid, is conducive to just not doing anything, but not doing it in the most efficient way possible.
It also speaks to the power of Primordial Drake. I know we talk about this a lot, but look at this. Sidonia taking it from Stonehill Defender. Hoy taking it from Netherspite Historian. Like, 2 very different Discover effects, both granting the same card because its effect is just so strong.
5/10 Divine Shield Taunt that turns into a 2/6 when it dies. That sounds like some sort of sludge belcher on absolute nightmare stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
At least in hand, how are you going to deal with this 5/10 without the death, though?
You really need a death.
Hit it with your 4/11 a few times.
Well, I guess Hoy maybe starts with Powered Shield and just hopes that he can pick up a death. Even if he does that, he's not actually getting rid of the Staggadon as well, unless he decides to play Holy Nova 2, which seems like a huge waste.
That is so
oh, he can't. He can't play Powered Shield and Holy Nova and Shadow of Death. What am I talking about?
That's a lot of mana. But I don't think anybody's in any hurry here. They're just all trying to get the most out of their cards. And this 5/10 Psychotron.
There it is. Tron. Nice.
Shadow Word Death.
That's a man who's just had a nice surprise.
Well, now the question is, do you definitely do it? I mean, you probably don't have better targets, but there's things that come in later that you want to kill. But The deal is here, if we can deal with the board now, we'll worry about later, because maybe we'll have our own board with our 4-11 that can still be healed.
There are definitely arguments for holding onto it for the likes of Tyrion, Ragnaros Lightlord, etc. Though that's the thing, what you just said at the end there. You're taking control of the board. With a second Twilight Drake, with Elise, with Primordial Drake, it's possible that the Priest takes the board and just holds onto it, in which case they may not need the Shadow of Death because they'll have enough power to trade into whatever they need to trade into.
This deck from Canada is all about the 8s. The Stampeding Kodo means there's a Curator in the deck, as well as the 8-8 and the 4-8, and everything costs 8.
Okay, Eye for a 9 will sacrifice Repentance. None of these actually being what Sidonia is looking for. Repentance could be great if it hits a Twilight Drake.
Right.
But Getaway Kodo, probably the one that Sidonia wanted. Gonna go with Repentance. Probably going to play it this turn alongside... Oh no, he can't. He's playing... Well, he can't play it with the Stampeding Kodo.
Right, how useful is the Kodo now compared to later?
Yeah.
How useful is it ever in this matchup? That's the question. Do you want a 3-5? Maybe. Does it kill much? Maybe not. See what they go with.
Oh, he's going to do it. It's just for tempo's sake, I suppose.
Right, it's the right shape for something on the board right now. It doesn't die too much.
It's not going to get him past this Twilight Drake, which now has 11 health, and could even have more than that very, very soon, as Hoy picks up another Power Word Shield. He can also use his hero power to put the Twilight Drake even higher on the health chain.
There's an enormously long way to go here before anything happens in terms of somebody winning the game. But I feel that Denmark have got an advantage here. They've got Elise, they've got a big Twilight Drake coming when they want it, and at some point they will have Lyra. Meanwhile, Canada only have a handful of really good cards.
Right. Yeah. And Primordial Drake actually going to get some work done here.
Right.
We're going to see a lot of Primordial Drakes in the next few turns. Finja from Sidonia. Oh, these Paladin lists are weird, Neil. The aggressive ones used to be the only ones that ran Finja. The control ones used to not run Finja. Now we've got a very control-y hand with Finja.
Yeah, I wonder how much advantage there is in Finja just thinning out your deck. Like, you put these Murlocs in to get you a fairly decent start and a bit of defense and everything. And if it goes wrong, you play Finja and just get rid of the rest of them out of your deck and move on with your life. Don't forget, there will be a Curator that will fetch a Megasaur later on.
Yeah.
So Finja is still an ideal situation at some point, but how do you ever kill this 4-6 without equality? And they can't draw it.
I just wonder if so often Finja, as a 5-mana 2/4 that thins out your deck a little bit, is it really good enough in this deck? Sidonia obviously thinks that it is, and you're right, without an equality, this Twilight Drake, which has been sticking around all game, doesn't look like it's going anywhere.
Yeah, and it's definitely not going anywhere soon.
It just gets bigger and bigger.
Which Drake did they play there? I've got a feeling they played the Drake that came from the Stonehill.
Right.
I think they drew the other Drake after. I think they played the one on the left of their hand.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they did draw the other Drake after. I didn't.
So if Denmark are spotting, they now know that that's an extra Primordial Drake.
Okay.
Just a tiny little thing there, but if I got it right, I think they played the left-hand one.
Yeah, and Stampeding Kodo will have implied to Team Denmark that it's a more control-y based deck, that there will be Drakes, that there will be equalities.
But that's what I mean, right? I think they played the left-hand one, which is the one that they couldn't have known what it was.
Yeah.
They played the right-hand one, it's just like, oh yeah, there's the Drake we know's there.
Yeah, so potentially a slight mistake from...
Potentially, if I saw it, right, there's potentially a slight mistake from the caster.
There's a lot to talk about for the team, though, so
Right.
it's possible that could have been just
You
something they
instinctively
missed.
play the left-hand one. It is the correct one to play almost always.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on with things that matter a lot more.
Vine
Cleaver's
Cleaver.
back in the deck
One of the first cards that appeared in the mid-range Paladins as they started to become dominant in the Ungoro meta. It's been taken out, put back in, and then taken out. And this is the first time we've seen it put back in for a little while.
It's good in the grindy matchups, although they are a little bit too far behind for it to be particularly great right now. Just because when it kills a minion, you make 2/1/1s, especially if you've got the opportunity to... you just do it on an empty board, you kill their only minion, you make 2/1/1s, then you hero power, make another one. Suddenly you've got a board of 3 attack and 3 health, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, then you can bump into their next minion, and the 1/1's can finish it off, and it's just absolutely insane when it gets rolling.
But what is the correct play from Cydonia here? Primordial Drake doesn't really do anything. Rag Lightlord is so susceptible to the second Shadow Word Death. Finja does very, very little. I guess Finja this turn and then Vinecleaver next turn could be okay.
Might be a thing.
Okay, going to play the Primordial Drake.
Something that might stick on the board. It might end up doing 8 damage here because Priest memes on 4/8s. It actually challenges every minion on the board now.
This also sets up the Consecration very nicely, and with Vinecleaver should allow Cydonia to clear most of the board. That is if Hoy decides not to play the Holy Nova. Deathwing Dragonlord and Malygos are looking more like it. Once again, no Netherspite Historian, but these are some very high value cards, which is what you want in this match.
And I think, but I'm always a sucker for this, but I think that Deathwing Dragonlord might be okay, because if they quality Consecration you get stuff on the board for nothing. But the stuff you get is a 4/1 Twilight Drake, so they go with Malygos.
Hoy not falling for the Repentance there as well. Could have ended up with a 4/1 Twilight Drake. Not going to happen this time. Let's see how he decides to finish up this turn. Is there going to be a Holy Nova played?
I wonder as well.
Or is that too valuable to save for a board of Murlocs later? That said, there is a Dragonfire Potion ready to go.
Your whole board is being challenged by this one silly minion right now. They're gonna kill it off, but I think they might save the Nova.
Okay.
I'd play Elise here and just get that pack ready, because you want some more cards.
Why not?
You're not scared of drawing the pack now. That's sometimes why you don't play these. Maybe they're going to wait until they get Shadow Visions before playing Elise.
Okay, and just use them as a combo together. That makes sense to me.
Get 2 packs instead of 1. That might be a good thing to do.
Consecration plus Vinecleaver is just a little bit off, but True Silver Champion does fit the curve nicely. Consecration will clear everything except Priest of the Feast. True Silver Champion can finish that card off, and then just a Hero Power.
Yeah, and 27 versus 26 is the score here after 100 turns of Hearthstone.
Yeah, we are well into this game, and it could still go either way, really.
Right.
It's hard to tell who's ahead. I would have said Hoy until right now, but Cydonia has managed to find a way to get rid of this entire board. So, congratulations to him. It's kind of flipped this game on its head a little bit.
Yeah, he's definitely fought back into it. I still feel that Denmark have a very slight advantage, but that can definitely change soon. Like, this Dragonfire Potion is going to get value.
Black Knight's going to just deal with Tyrion later.
That's Tyrion sorted out.
Malygos coming down as well is just going to guarantee that the equality comes out if Cydonia has it, as Malygos into Holy Nova or Dragonfire Potion is just silly. It's a guarantee board clear.
It does look like one turn will just be Elise, Shadow Visions, because there's only sort of 12 or fewer cards or something like that left in the deck now. Elise into Shadow Visions, draw a pack, and then maybe draw another Shadow Visions before you draw the pack. That would be like a 50-50.
Yeah.
For another pack. They might get 3 packs here, and that will win them this game if they do get that many packs.
It would. It just would, because this game turns into a real value-oriented game. As you can see, we're way past turn 10 now. Tempo, like mid-game tempo, is completely forgotten at this stage. It's now who has the better stuff and who can put it on the board quickly.
And interesting that even Priest of the Feast is just being a tempo card. Kodo was a tempo card. Malygos is a bit more than a tempo card. It's a giant 4/12 dragon that makes your Holy Nova completely silly.
I really like the idea of Malygos here, because even if Cydonia does get a kill with Finja, Holy Nova just guarantees everything's cleared.
Yeah.
The only weakness is to Equality, which is just picked up off the top by Cydonia. He's now going to be able to play that, put Finja into the Malygos, and settle this board again. On the flip side to that, it means that the Equality is used up and gone, which makes the second Twilight Drake seem even better.
Yeah, I think they may have worked out there was no Equality from all those turns where the big minions stuck around. It's not certain. When you're playing against teams of this standard, I feel that nothing's ever certain, because they get so greedy but so careful with it.
Right.
But it does feel like here, Equality, Finja, draw stuff is a powerful play.
Yeah, I can't see another. Cydonia absolutely has to get rid of this Malygos. And there's no actual way of proccing the Finja if he doesn't play the Equality, as True Silver Champion and Vinecleaver just get rid of the Priest of the Feast without letting Finja attack. And Finja dies for free if you don't get the proc here because of, again, the Holy Nova or Dragonfire Potion.
Here we go, what they're going to get. What Murlocs are in this deck? We've only seen a handful so far anyway. This means they can't draw Hydrologist if it comes out, for instance. That's a secret they won't get.
Okay. When you
Good
get a
stuff.
Murloc War Leader, you feel pretty good about that. Vine Cleaver going to clear up the rest of this board. However, Dragonfire Potion is there, ready and waiting.
If they want it.
Might not
yeah.
even be necessary this turn. Twilight Drake into Dragonfire Potion seems absolutely fine. Shadowwood Pain can deal with the Murloc War Leader, which is the biggest threat on the board.
Yeah, and that pretty much sets up a Holy Nova for the next turn. You take your lumps, you get hit for one turn, and then when the Vine Cleaver swings, then you just clear everything the next turn with the Holy Nova.
Right, well,
Or you can clear up now. It depends what they want to do.
this game has reached a really interesting point. One that we haven't seen too many games in the last few days get to this late stage
Right.
here. At least Paladin and Priest.
Yeah, far fewer than in previous weeks, that's for sure. And you probably do deal with these Murlocs just because that left-hand card has been there forever. There hasn't been a board of Murlocs much so far, and Megasaur exists.
Right. That's true.
So that's the thing they've got to be a bit scared of.
So, yeah, if that's what Denmark have decided, if they've decided, hey, that card on the left, that could be a Megasaur, we should probably get rid of all of this. Shadowwood Pain, though,
Cool.
the Megasaur's still not that much of a big deal with this. It allows Sidonia to push more with the Vine Cleaver, summon more Silverhand Recruits, and actually have an even weaker board to the Dragonfire Potion.
Or even the Holy Nova that they've, again, kept back. The Megasaur appears as if by magic from the top of the deck. But doesn't have much to do. It can buff 2 Murlocs.
Yeah, it's only going to get 2, though. Is that good enough here? Buffing up the Rockpool Hunter's attack could be relevant. In fact, buffing up the 1/1's attack is good, too. Priests aren't one of the classes that's particularly good at dealing 1 damage to things.
Yeah, so they may do that. They may even just go for plants or even go for poison. There's quite a few different choices here, depending on what Sidonia, what Canada feel might actually be still to come.
Poison's interesting. Yeah.
Lots of weird options here. They may just choose to get greedy. They may feel that actually we're getting outvalued here. We can't Megasaur a 2 Murloc board, but how do we ever generate a bigger board? So something they could do is just drop this Light Lord, use the hero power, and whilst the Priest is distracted with the 8/8, maybe sneak another Murloc down later and then Megasaur for slightly more stuff.
Now, the Priest is certainly distracted by this 8/8, but the problem is they don't currently have a way of dealing with it. One Shadow where Death is already gone, used up ages ago against the Psychotron.
Wow, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just... Ahoy... What does he do?
I think they've been forced by Canada into having to use up this Dragonfire Potion. Oh, sorry, the Holy Nova.
The Holy Nova, yeah.
Really nice work there from Canada, because this is a way to get the additional value they need. They're going to lose this game if they don't generate value, and they found a way to generate value. And now Denmark, because they're facing down a load of pressure, their cards aren't going to be used perfectly as they would like. They're going to have to start using cards slightly inefficiently, and that's a way to close the value gap.
I don't know how Hoy gets rid of the Thrag Light Lord. Holy Nova or Dragonfire Potion, neither of those cards are enough to deal with the big problem.
The big problem being you're going to eat 24 in 3 turns if you don't deal with it. Holy Nova might be interesting because it allows you to drop Elise.
Yeah.
Which at least sort of sets up a challenge. Oh, what are they doing here? They're going for Twilight Drake?
Well, the problem with the Elise is that it dies to the Rockpool Hunter and the weapon.
Right, sure.
So, okay, going with the Dragonfire Potion because this is the line that is more likely to get rid of Rag Light Lord.
Sure. I'm good with that. And it looks like it will.
Wow. Not if Sidonia decides to play Consecration. Consecration plus Vine Cleaver. Given that you've just seen Dragonfire Potion used up, that seems like a pretty safe play to me. Yeah, sure, there's still Holy Nova, but that's not going to get rid of Rag Light Lord still.
So, Consecration Cleaver, make a dude and then...
Play True Silver.
Probably play True Silver.
If you're not worried about weapon removal
Which
anyway.
you know isn't there at the moment.
Yeah.
Because they would definitely have used it.
So yeah, I like that. Makes sense to me.
Hit for 8, puts you down to 11 if you are Denmark. Whew, it's getting a bit close to the wire, and they've run out of Lyra activators as well.
Yeah.
They have this whole handful of coins and shields and goodness knows what if Lyra came anywhere in the first sort of 15 to 20 cards. But they are running out of ways to activate her now and get decent value from her.
Looks like Sidonia going to go ahead, play the Consecration, fill up the board with 1/1 dudes, and just equip another weapon. Hoy needs to pick up another Dragonfire Potion here, or he's in trouble.
Yeah, the power of that Vine Cleaver has been shown in those last 3 turns. Those 1-1s were providing enough of a nuisance that Denmark had to deal with them. And massive swing around here from Canada the last few turns.
Potion of Madness is okay. It's going to deal with 2 guys, but that's only a tiny percentage of what Vine Cleaver actually did.
Yeah, is it enough? I mean, Holy Nova puts them to 11. Healing Face puts them to 13. We can see 8, 9, 10, 11, plus the 4 from the weapon is 15. Clearing off 2 attack still leaves 13 there. They've got to find a way to creatively get out of this, and I don't know if they can.
Well, so they have to play the Holy Nova, and they have to heal. And then they play Northshire Cleric, I guess.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's a shame for them. They can't find a way to injure this Northshire Cleric either.
Yeah, it's looking very bad because even after playing that, so the only way you survive is Holy Nova, heal, and I guess you play the Cleric. Then what do you do after that? Rag Lightlord is still alive. This is Ragnaros Lightlord kind of at its strongest. When it's not healing your face to protect you from lethal, it's healing itself, living forever, and clearing a big minion every single turn.
Look at this now. Anything at all from this aggressive Murloc. We haven't seen a Bluegill yet at all. Oh,
we might be about to see a Bluegill.
Yeah, just play Curator into lethal, or into a good chance at lethal.
Chances have just...
We've only seen one Hydrologist.
Okay, there's the other Hydrologist. Eye for an eye, though. It's not as powerful against Priest, because Priests have a way of healing themselves, but it does create a little bit of awkwardness. Redemption seems good too, if they can redeem Ragnaros Lightlord and just continue that thing's dominance.
And I think we won't see Canada, we might do, but doing the workings out, but I don't think we'll see Canada put Denmark to 1 here. They will take care of this 1-3 that is the ticket to Denmark digging through their deck and getting out of trouble.
Of course.
But it may just be that Canada go, you know what, you can't recover from 1. That you can't draw enough cards to get out of that trouble.
It's true. It's looking like it's a very strong position for Cydonia either way. It's just a question of where the weapon goes.
Right, and they're not sure either in some regards here. Yeah, they're just going to stick it in the face. Raven will be happy. They're getting him, Raven.
Raven does like the face, doesn't he?
He does like hitting people in the face.
Yeah, we've experienced that a little bit.
Yeah, I know. He's been hitting us both in the face for 2 days solid.
Gluttonous Ooze, great pickup, but it's not enough. Gluttonous Ooze with the Black Knight will clear away the Curator. It will heal Hoy up to 5, and then there's still a Rag Lightlord there, ready to deal 8 damage.
So Black Knight, and then you can put your Northshire Cleric into either the Noble Sacrifice, which it isn't, or into the 2-2. And then you can draw a card with Healing Potion. Well,
the Curator's going to come back to life, and then Potion of Madness can deal with that. Either way, despite all of this talk, it just doesn't matter. There's still... Ragnaros Lightlord isn't going anywhere. There's nothing...
Have they used both deaths?
No, I believe only 1.
So they can't do it in a way that gets the mana enough to cast it, right?
Funny thing is, we haven't seen a Shadow Visions yet this game either.
Oh, they're going straight for the heal on the Lightlord. This is really smart, actually, because then they can just get enough stuff.
I think it was the only out, but unfortunately, Hoy has to concede. Cydonia for Team Canada take another win, meaning that only 1 game in the entirety of the Hearthstone Global Games has been lost by Canada at all, which gives them a very good tiebreaker as well as a good match score.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose their next 2 games 3-0, they're probably in.
They're probably still in.
Right.
So you think that this is guaranteed that Canada gets to the next
Never say anything's guaranteed in round robins until you've done all the permutations, but I would like to say that it does seem incredibly strong, and I'll go away and work out if it's guaranteed or not later.
All right, well, as we just take another look at the series we just watched, APX Void putting a slight stain on Canada's record, but not feeling too bad about it, as 9-1 is a great game record to be on here. No need to go to the ace match, as yeah, it's a nice 3-1.
Yeah, Denmark sink to 1-1, but that lineup of players is still a very powerful lineup. I think we will see more of, well, we will see more of Denmark. We're seeing everybody 5 times, and we've only seen them twice, but we will see more of Denmark, and I think we'll see a lot more strong play from them.
Yeah, Denmark was only 1-0 before,
right.
So it's only 1-1. It's nowhere near as bad as some of the scores that we've seen already today. They're still one of the best teams in the tournament, without question. These guys are great.
Only have to finish top 3 to get to the second phase, and that's where things really start kicking off. So
Harrison on the Atiesh there. A very, very strong move from the Priest.
Yeah, that last game, I mean, just look at the highlights from this, but I just want to look at the last game for a minute because there probably aren't enough highlights of that. It was interesting how Denmark just couldn't quite deal with the Vine Cleaver as much as anything.
It was weird because Denmark looked so ahead as the Priest at the beginning. Up until they were on about 10 mana, it looked great. But you're right, Vine Cleaver seems to be one of the cards that really swung it alongside Ragnar's Lightlord. Rag Lightlord was even better.
Yeah, that whole turn, hopefully we see that again in a moment. The whole turn where the Rag Lightlord was played was very, very cleverly worked because it meant that Denmark had too many things to worry about.
Yeah.
Even if they'd had some answers, they couldn't.
This happened in the same game. It feels like such a long time ago as this game really did go on for a while. But there we go. The powered shield into the Shadow of Death. And here's Rag Lightlord, the invincible Rag Lightlord.
Right, and Rag Lightlord quite often doesn't provide that much of a threat because it's just the 8/8 that you kill and then they play Tyrion. That's the threat. But on this occasion, the Rag Lightlord just couldn't be dealt with at all. And Denmark couldn't find any answers. They drew their Gluttonous Ooze too late. Yeah. If they'd drawn that a few turns earlier, it might all have been different.
I didn't look too happy about that. It's a shame that we couldn't see Sidonia smiling at us. It was great to see him with a lot of confidence in his interview earlier. Canada have to be feeling good about this. They really are putting their neighbours, USA, they're putting them to the test. They're saying, hey, we're as good as you. See you in the finals.
Yeah, and I just don't think the Americans will be happy about playing any Canadians in the upcoming HCT event either. Canada have been doing incredibly well in Hearthstone across the board recently. Looking at that, Malaysia will be feeling a lot better as well. If Canada beat everybody, that's fine for Malaysia.
Denmark still on the higher end of the bracket here. If it ended now, they'd still be going through to the next round. It's Kazakhstan and Belgium in Group F that really need to worry.
Yeah, and again, you do this thing where you look at everything. If everybody loses 3-0 to Canada and you lose 3-1, you've actually gained on the field. But Denmark will not be feeling that way. Denmark will be mightily upset at this result because a win today would have given them such a great shot. But that whole group is wide open apart from Canada, who have just blown everybody out of the water.
I mean, it looks like Canada and Denmark, they're the best known teams with the best known players on. So Denmark shouldn't feel too bad about it. It's not like they've lost to people that they'd never heard of.
No, it's not. But again, there's this thing that they've got to get rid of to some degree where everybody says how good they are and then they say, what have you won recently?
Right.
And eventually Denmark are going to have to throw that off. Crane already has all of the others. We know they're good. Everyone knows they're good. But at some point, they've got to win something.
Let's just take one more look at the results of today. Hungary defeating Portugal with a 3-1, followed by Finland just about losing to Italy with a 3-2 win from Italy.
Germany sorting their lives out in style. They were happy. They enjoyed their play. They prepared well. They did prepare a top-heavy lineup to try and get the 3-0. That was confirmed in interview. They got the 3-0, and that's a big boost. Those extra wins, it's much better than the 3-2 when you're in their position.
But Croatia looking sad with, I believe, an 0-3 record for them now. Argentina and Canada finishing up the day with their wins versus Austria and Denmark. Again, very close from Argentina with a 3-2, but Canada getting quite a healthy win, only losing one game again in the entire tournament so far. That's a pretty big statement.
It's pretty ridiculous. And again, they're almost certainly through to the second phase, but there's plenty more of the first phase to come. We're only halfway through it, 5 weeks down, 5 to go, and these groups are taking shape now.
Yeah, we're at the stage where... tomorrow, of course, we're not finished with the week yet. Chile is going to be playing against Japan first, followed by Mexico versus Singapore. That will be at the much later time of, I believe, is it 3 AM CT?
I must admit I don't know, but it's certainly that sort of time.
It's the early hours of the morning for us. I'll be watching the VODs the next day, but if you can, do tune in for more Hearthstone Global Games action there. Chile versus Japan, wow. It's just been such a good week of Hearthstone.
Right, and it's a Japan Major at the weekend, and one of the players for Japan, Tansuko, is in the top 8 of the Japan Major as well. So it could be an important 3 or 4 days for him.
These players do get around a little bit. But from us, that is the end from the European Global Games casting day. I hope you've enjoyed the last couple of days. I know I have. Global Games is really, as you said, it's reaching the interesting point. The groups are taking shape. Some of the groups are solidifying their lead. Some of the teams are falling behind. The next few weeks are going to be really, really good. Thank you so much for watching. Come back again tomorrow for more Hearthstone Global Games.